Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I just wanted to do a bit more of a relaxed video. We still don't have much to talk about in regards to the division as a whole, I suppose. We had update to 12.1 drop this past Tuesday, and that brought the next-gen optimization patch, which was huge for, us next-gen console players. I've had a blast playing in 60 FPS, brought the Resident Evil apparel event, which is meh, to be quite honest. But what I wanted to do today, now that we have year 2 basically closing out, regardless of what's coming in the future, we are nearing the end of year 2, I wanted to reflect a bit about how, year 2 went compared to some of the other years in Division franchise's history. I think I will probably be mentioning some spoilers for the ending of Season 4 later on in the video, so be warned if you don't want to hear those. That Final Fame mission is coming this Tuesday, so in I think 3 days from when I'm releasing this video, so be warned about that if you do not already know what those entail. Originally, I wanted to do a final predictions video around this time for what I think would be coming next for the franchise. I did one last year before Warlords was announced, and I actually got it almost spot on, which was pretty fun. I may or may not include that when I'm editing this, if, depending on how much I want to stroke my own ego, but my theory is that there's going to be a paid major content and game expansion to kick off year 2. It's going to come alongside the free Gear 2.0 and game rebalancing changes, which are huge by themselves, as well as this major content drop. It'll most likely have a new storyline and campaign leading up to World Tier 6, tons of new gear, new weapons, new gear sets and exotics, all those new named items, hell, maybe even new brands. But perhaps most importantly, I think it's going to have a major map expansion. Either in DC, or it's now outside the realm of possibility that we could get a new city. Like I said, there's a lot of devs that have had a whole lot of time to work on something, so I think this is what it is. Hell, we could even be going back to New York City. How enticing would that expansion be to buy? I had planned on doing a similar video to that this year because I thought, that was pretty fun. It's good time to finally give a final prediction on what might be coming next. And so I debated for a long time what I would predict. I was like, how much of a percentage do I want to give that Division 3 might be happening, that we might see Year 3 DLC, that we might see something else. And then Star Wars happened, which obviously threw a wrench in a lot of things and a lot of different ideas and conversations people were having. But now, after that, I also can't really make a predictions video because I know a bit too much. I can't really talk about what I know, and I know a lot of people are probably going to be upset about that. What I can say is that I have had some conversations, I've heard some whispers, I've seen a few things. I'm under the impression that we are going to see something for the Division franchise in the near future. Some people are saying that they think, obviously, Division 3 is off the table, and that yada yada yada, Massive is going to drop, and Ubisoft is going to drop the franchise for a while. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I haven't seen anything official. It's not like I've signed documents with Ubisoft or whatever, so I can't say that with absolute certainty, but I am under the impression that we are going to see something in the near future, but we will have to wait and see if that turns out to be true. But with that out of the way, let's just hang out a bit. I wanted to talk about year 2 of the Division 2. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I think that this year was actually one of the better ones for the franchise. It started off with the largest post-launch update for Division 1 or 2 ever, which was obviously Warlords of New York and Title Update 8. We obviously saw with that a huge expansion to the Division 2 with an entirely new map, which we only got once in Division 1, and it was just an expansion of NYC. I think Westside Piers were kind of, the response was a bit middled. There was obviously some very cool environments in there, like what are the memorable ones? The nightclub is really cool. The car wash with the inflatable guy on the roof was obviously very noticeable. So it had some cool stuff, but I don't think people ever really were attracted to that as much as Massive may have hoped they might have been. And obviously that was a bit of a test for Division 2, but Warlords of New York, the New York area and the open world in Division 2 is really phenomenal, I think. I obviously think New York is a much better setting for the Division than DC, just because there's more skyscrapers, there's more verticality, there's more things to explore overall. So I really like the New York area, and the expansion overall, despite it not having replayable content, despite it not having any PvP elements, I think it was still a really good expansion. The campaign, while short, was still good. I think pretty much all of the main missions are really stellar, and they had a good story, they had really nice gameplay elements, they were, pretty long and, very engaging, I would say. And it gave us a conclusion to the Aaron Keener story, which I and a lot of other people might not necessarily be happy with, because I think we all agreed that he was one of the, best parts of the Division story. He was a really good villain. But his story was concluded with that, and so it was satisfying, I guess, to say the least, that, that was its own expansion, I would say. And then obviously TU8 brought us the, expansive and sweeping changes for the Division 2 overall. Gear 2.0. If you didn't buy the expansion, we saw a gear score increase to 515. There was all the different changes to how weapons work as well, which I'm not a fan of, but it was still included. There was a lot of stuff like that, right? And some of the Dark Zone revamps. So that update and that expansion were major, and that kicked off year 2. That wasn't part of year 1. That was the start of year 2 for the Division 2. So that was a big start, obviously. And then after that, we had a big update with a new piece of content every 3 months or so. Now, this excludes TU12. So what I'm talking about here is in March, we had TU8, which obviously came with Warlords and the start of Season 1. And then TU10 was about 3 months later-ish. That would be 3 months, right? Yeah, in June. And that came with Operation Iron Horse, the second raid, and Season 2. And then TU11 came in September. That had the Summit and Season 3. And then obviously TU12 and Season 4 were in December. And we were going to get Codename Nightmare, but that obviously got canceled, or at least the gameplay element of it did. But that overall structure, I think, served the game well. It created a general, good amount of buzz and hype every few months or so. And obviously seasons were lackluster. I think we can all pretty much agree on that we would have liked there to be more with the seasons as far as content goes. But regardless of how you feel about them, you do have to admit that it gives you something new to do every week. Now, maybe that doesn't entice everyone to log back on, but there is a new league, a new global event, a new whatever, a new target to do every week. And so while those could absolutely 100% be improved for the future, I don't think it was overall a terrible strategy for them to try and go for. It was something new, and I think that's at least commendable. Overall, I would say year 2 of the Division 2 beats year 1 easily. Year 1 was a pretty sad time for the franchise, I would say, because there was so much hype for the Division 2. It turned out to not be what a lot of us were expecting, and then we really didn't get a lot of content. We had, obviously, they withheld World Tier 5 and Tidal Basin at launch, and so that came soon after. Then we had the raid, and then we kind of waited until episode 1, where we were very disappointed with Kenlian Expeditions. The missions were cool, but then that's kind of just how it went. And then, episode 2 had some stuff, like there was a new PvP map that was fine enough, but the Pentagon missions were, again, just missions. There was nothing replayable. TU7 and Coney Island were fun enough because we knew then Warlords was coming in a month, but overall year 1 was pretty desolate and pretty sad, in my opinion. So I think year 2 certainly beats year 1. And also I would say it definitely beats Division 1's year 3, which isn't hard to beat because there wasn't much going on that year as they ramped up for Div 2. But in that year, we only saw a few extra legendary missions with the 1.8.1, 2, and 3, or was it just 2 and 3? I don't know. But we saw that, and we saw some balance changes. So it beats those 2 years easily, which is half of the Division franchise's life cycle, right? So it's certainly at least middle of the pack. And I would say it's close to on par with Division 1's year 2. I think it's inarguable that there was more total and more frequent content because Division 1 year 2 only saw 1.7 and 1.8 as the 2 major updates. But for me personally, obviously the PvP was much more enjoyable in the Division 1. 1.7 in mine and many others' opinions was the best, for me at least, the best patch in the Division 1's lifespan, certainly for PvP. It was when it was the most balanced and the most fun in my opinion. So year 2 of Div 1 certainly holds a special place in my heart, but I would say year 2 of Div 1 and year 2 of Div 2 are pretty close, as far as if you're looking at it from a general gaming consumer's perspective. Then there were certainly more to do in Division 2 year 2. So I would think you at least have to consider those two and take nostalgia out of the equation there. But those two were at least on par, right? But I would say year 1 of Div 1 probably wins overall. Everything was still very new and exciting, and 1.1 to 1.6 were all very exciting and content-filled. We had incursions throughout the year, 4 total. We had Underground, Survival, Last Stand. We had 1.4, which was kind of the TU6 of Division 2, where it just revamped the entire game. So there was a lot of stuff that came during Div 1 year 1, and it was the first we'd ever experienced Division, so it was very exciting overall. So I'd say that one won. And then, second place, like I was saying, you would have to really weigh the options between Div 1 year 2 and Div 2 year 2. So not bad overall. I think they definitely tried something different this year, and that's respectable. They tried to go more of the Destiny model and do the big expansion and then follow with seasonal updates and seasons throughout the year. But I think the overall timeline and model of having an update every 3 months that came alongside at least one big piece of content was a pretty good strategy. And in the future, if Ubisoft would have just given massive more resources and the seasons could have been a bit more meaty content-wise, I think it would have been even better. And it could be a viable content plan in the future if we ever do see a Division 3 in however many years, if they, if Ubi would actually take Division more seriously and give massive more resources, then I think it could be a viable option. But until then, we'll just have to see. The new amount of guns and gears and exotics was good. Maybe just don't hand them out so quickly and easily as they do in some of these seasons. But overall, I think seasons are promising and they do have a place in Division's future if they want to take them a bit more seriously. In the end, it's been another year in the Division franchise. It's ending strong, I think, with the next-gen update and the exciting Fei Lao mission this coming Tuesday, which is obviously going to have some pretty exciting, at least story content and implications in it. And hopefully we can talk and be excited about what may or may not be coming next soon. Thanks everyone for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you can be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts on this past year in the Division 2. I know it's easy to hate on things, but I feel like with all honesty, it's at least been in the middle of the pack, at least compared to year 1 of this game and year 3 of Div 1, so let me know if you agree or disagree with that assessment. My next video is going to be on Tuesday. I'm going to upload my live gameplay and reaction of the Fei Lao mission, so that's going to be really exciting. I hope you guys will come and see my thoughts for that, because if you haven't read the spoilers, all I'm going to say is it's going to be pretty big as far as the story goes and as far as what may be coming in the future, even if it's several years down the line in a potential Division 3. So I think it's going to be exciting, and I hope you guys will join me there and see my thoughts on that. But yeah, everyone, thanks again for watching. Have a great day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.